It was a cold November night in Paris. A light drizzle fell like a constant whisper, washing the dark sidewalks of the city. In a small, discreet apartment in the 8th arrondissement, N'Golo Kanté gazed at the sky through the window, his silhouette reflected in the glass, pale and pensive. Despite his fame, fortune, and brilliant career, there was a restlessness within him that kept him from sleeping. It was as if the glory he had achieved in football had not erased the memories of his humble beginnings, nor the silent pain he felt when witnessing the glaring inequality surrounding the world that now idolized him. "I want to see it with my own eyes," he murmured to himself. He had heard stories, read reports, watched videos, the way the homeless were treated with disdain, how human dignity was constantly ignored. But he wanted more than to hear or read. He wanted to feel, to live, to understand. And so, the absurd idea was born. N'Golo Kanté, World Cup champion, millionaire, known for his humility and shy smile, decided to disguise himself as a homeless man and spend a night on the streets of Paris. But it wouldn't be just any night. He wanted to go to a place he had visited many times before, but this time from a different perspective. A place where the contrast between expectations and reality would be stark. A McDonald's. "I want to see how they treat a hungry man who looks like nobody," he concluded. He anonymously hired a film makeup artist who worked in indie productions. N'Golo didn't give his real name. He simply paid in cash, asked for discretion, and explained it was for a social project. The result was shocking, even to him. Disheveled hair, a scruffy beard, teeth darkened with special effects makeup, torn clothes, a worn-out coat, and hole-ridden shoes. The smell was also part of the trick, a mix of sweat, mold, and artificial urine, a chemical compound used in films for realism. No one would ever guess that this hunched man, dragging his feet, was one of the most respected footballers on the planet. It was around 10 p.m. when he walked into a 24-hour McDonald's on a busy Paris avenue. People were used to seeing drifters pass by, but there was a particular aura of discomfort when someone like him, dirty, smelly, with a vacant stare, crossed the glass revolving door. As soon as he entered, he felt the stares. Two teenagers snickered quietly and stepped aside. A couple switched tables. The cashier at the counter, a young woman around 20, visibly wrinkled her nose. Kanté approached the register. He held a 10-euro note in his hand, deliberately dirty and crumpled. He looked at the menu with genuine hesitation, not because he didn't know it, but because he had to appear unfamiliar. A small meal. Burger, fries, small drink. "Please," he said with a raspy voice, almost a whisper. The cashier looked at him for a few seconds and replied curtly, "We serve food, not shelter. Are you eating here?" Kanté nodded slowly. The cashier rolled her eyes, rang up the order, and asked for the money. He handed it over. She took it with visible disgust, as if handling something contaminated. "Wait in the corner. We'll call you." He sat on a bench in the back. A staff member approached with a cloth in hand, as if to clean the table, but it was clearly a way to mark territory, isolating him. Minutes passed slowly. Conversations continued, but the laughter quieted near him. The staff member aggressively cleaned nearby tables, as if trying to erase his presence. A security guard discreetly appeared, standing a few meters away, watching with folded arms. "Have you ordered?" the guard asked dryly. "Yes, I'm waiting," Kanté replied. The man nodded and said nothing more, but remained there, watching. When his order was finally called, he stood up slowly and took the tray. He tried to smile at the cashier, but she looked away. He sat down and began to eat. He was genuinely hungry. He had fasted all day as part of the experiment. The food, though ordinary to most, felt like a feast. But soon came the looks of disgust. The earlier couple got up and left. A child asked loudly why that man was there if he was a bum. The mother pulled the child's arm and whispered something in their ear. When he finished, he got up with the tray. He was going to throw it away as he normally did. But as he passed near the cashier, he heard a whispered remark. good thing he's leaving, was ruining the atmosphere. He stopped, turned slowly. I was ruining the atmosphere? She hesitated, surprised by the firmness of his tone. Look, sir, I'm just saying, maybe this isn't the right place for you. There are places that help people like you, you know? Silence. The security guard approached again. Is there a problem here? KANTÉ slowly took off his coat. Then he pulled off the fake beard, revealing his face. Silence turned into shock. N'Golo KANTÉ? Someone exclaimed. The cashier went pale. The guard stepped back. Yes, he said, and I just wanted to know how I'd be treated if I wasn't who I am. Now I know. He left the tray on the counter and walked toward the door, but before leaving, he turned one last time. You need to remember that dignity isn't measured by appearance. Hunger doesn't care about clothing, and respect should be standard, not a reward. He walked out under the astonished stares of those present. Someone began filming with a phone. The video spread like wildfire. The next day, the internet exploded. Hashtags like "on shame on MCD" and "we are all homeless" trended on Twitter. The video of KANTÉ removing the disguise went viral in minutes. Influencers, athletes, journalists, all were talking about it. McDonald's released a generic statement saying it would investigate the incident and reaffirmed its commitment to inclusion, but was harshly criticized for downplaying the situation. Newspapers around the world featured headlines like "World Cup hero disguises as homeless man and exposes prejudice." KANTÉ shows that without status, even a champion is invisible. The cashier was suspended, the guard removed, but the impact had already been made. By the end of that week, KANTÉ was invited to speak at an international conference on inequality. In his typically humble speech, he said, "Humanity's greatest defeat isn't on battlefields or in stadiums. It's in the small daily violences, when we choose not to see those who need us, when we feel superior for having a roof, a plate, a job. Today I was invisible for a few hours, but millions live invisible their whole lives." His speech received a standing ovation. Inspired by the reaction, he created a foundation called Human Face, dedicated to providing meals, temporary shelter, and social reintegration for people experiencing homelessness. In less than 2 months, over 1,000 people in Paris had already been helped. But what stood out the most was the silent shift. Restaurant workers began looking differently at people entering dirty, with tired eyes. Security footage showed that, in some locations, attitudes had changed. Perhaps not completely, perhaps not forever, but something had begun. All because one man chose to remind the world that empathy is rarer than gold, and that even a world champion can be treated like garbage when the world turns its eyes away, but can also open hearts when he decides to uncover the truth.